screen. Let's see. All right. So it all started from this particular tweet where someone said that um, what's really happening in Canada? I heard about 120K plus in 2025, and I can remember still struggling by the months. We have started in 2026 again. Things are just getting expensive by the minute. I'm getting really worried. Well, to me, I think, you know, I think they made a good point, right? Because things are indeed, getting difficult. Things are indeed difficult in Canada right now. Um, the part of these traits that really gets me thinking is them saying that they are struggling, you know, and there has been many reactions on Twitter on about this tweet. Some people were saying that, "What do you mean? Yeah, you're struggling. If you're earning 120K and you are struggling, maybe you should check your finances." You know, while some people agreed that yeah, it is possible for someone to be struggling if one earns about 120K. What do you think? Do you think it's possible to actually be struggling on 120K income in Canada? Let me know what you think. Put it in the chats. I'll be reading the chats. And if you have any questions, you have contributions, I'll be reading it out on on the chat. Yeah. So there are so many responses, but I think we need to take a step back, right? A lot of people are bringing up think pieces. They are saying, maybe you need to check your budget, maybe you need to do this. I think we need to take a step back and really understand where this person is coming from. Let's take a step back and understand where they are coming from. So let's see some responses here. Someone said, well, this person is agreeing with them that I'm frustrated beyond words. I literally work multiple jobs. I still hardly get something to save at the end of the month. Imagine. Then someone said, your real issue is knowledge and discipline, and you know it. When I saw this person's response, I'm like, wait, do you know the original poster personally? Because if you don't know them personally, you can't really say this. How sure are you that their real issue is knowledge? How sure are you that they are not disciplined with their money? How? How can anyone say that? There's even someone who said things are not getting expensive. It's the value of money that's being destroyed. Check your T4 and see the taxes you paid, about 40%. If you have a mortgage, check your 2025 summary. Then imagine financing a car and paying tithe. Don't blame you. It's just hard to navigate. Yeah, I agree with this person. It's hard to navigate finances in Canada. And that is the truth. And that is one truth that a lot of immigrants don't learn on time. A lot of immigrants come to Canada and they figure it out while here in Canada. Unfortunately, so many people figure it out too late. But okay, so I want to talk the T4 that this person mentioned here refers to your income summary. If you're in paid employment, not self-employment now, paid employment, you get T4 from your employer. That's one of the things that would show how much you've earned, how much has gone into taxes, and all that. Let's see what what other people had to say. Someone said I would say that housing and gas are more expensive in Ontario. Groceries in Calgary and Edmonton is just too expensive. Halifax is dealing with housing cost and groceries. Well, think pieces. Think pieces. Yeah. Someone who said Toronto is overrated. What do you think? Do you do you agree that Toronto is overrated? Do you agree? Someone said, "Don't even get me started. Between taxes and everything else, you're basically working for free." They're right. You know. However, I'd like us to take a step back. Like, if you want to analyze what um, the original poster said, they're talking about their income not going far. It's true. Almost everybody is feeling it, that the economy is down. Things are expensive. And if you've been following my channel, you'd have seen a few videos I made that speaks to cost of living crisis in Canada. You know, it's no longer news, right? That cost of living is very expensive in Canada. So there's no point arguing with this person. What we just need to know is to kind of understand their point of view. For example, we don't have more information about this person. One, we don't know if they are single or married. We don't know what their household income is. We don't know if they have a spouse and if that spouse is also earning money at all or earning as much as this guy is earning, right? Another thing we don't know is that we don't know what loans is paying. We don't know what commitments he has. He or she, I don't know the person's gender, So I think before you drop think pieces online, it's always good to take a step back and, you, you just don't know what people are going through, right? Because so when people say something online, we tend to look at it through our own lens, right? But we need to sometimes take a step back and see if we can see things from their perspective. There's nothing wrong in somebody ranting about the increasing cost of living because cost of living has indeed increased, you know. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't understand all these people judging them. I even saw someone posted the tweet on Instagram, and the comments, someone said in the comment that check your lemfi. Well, if you don't know what Lemfi is one of the apps. This is not sponsored. It's not an ad for Lemfi, but it's one of the apps that people use to transfer money to countries in Africa. So if there's something called black tax, which is when you send money back home, to support people from back home in Africa. So people were advising this guy to check his Lemfi. Maybe he's sending too much money back home. Wow. But the thing is, it is it, it is true that things are expensive. The reality in Canada these days is that things are expensive. Living costs have skyrocketed, and it's affecting people differently, right? It's affecting people differently. And, the way it would affect you might actually depend on, your lifestyle also. How much investment you have, how much savings you have, how much planning you have, you do every month, you know. So, um, housing costs are high, rent is high everywhere, food prices are up significantly, So everybody is feeling the squeeze. For example, let's talk about housing. You know, um, for housing, average our home prices have increased, right? Something that used to be around 600,000 is now around 1 million in Toronto, and it's even worse in Vancouver. You know, and the thing is, this guy that was earning 120K, if we break it down, he probably gets around 6K, 6.5 in a month, right? So If he has a $1 million home at 5.24, he's going to be paying about 6K on that house. He'll be paying at least between 4K and 6K on that house every month, you know. And I say 4K, 6K to include property taxes, insurance, maintenance, So it's really expensive. So let's assume they are not uh, paying mortgage and they are renting. Rent is also expensive. You see, this is a chart that shows um, average rent. This is a chart that shows average rent in Canada across the different provinces. So let's assume this person is living in Ontario. It means they're going to be spending at least $2,200 on rent every month. So if they get 6,005, they are spending almost half of their salary on rent. And if they are spending less than half, they are actually doing better than a whole lot of Canadians. There were reports that housing cost for people is now taking more than 50% of their monthly income. You see? So I think let me go back. Okay. I think these are the things one have to consider. Housing cost. It's so expensive. Vancouver average, and this amount is average. It's not which means a lot of people are paying more than this amount, while some people are paying less than it. But housing is expensive in Canada. Another thing to consider are grocery bills. The Statistics Canada, they mentioned that prices of grocery have increased by more than 20% in the last 3 years. So a family that was spending about say $700 for grocery every month in 2020 now spend around 1K. That's a huge difference monthly. You know, there's serious food inflation in Canada. There are still other costs to consider, right? There are other costs. There's transportation, car payment, insurance, gas, transit. There's utilities. You pay for hydro, you pay for water, you pay for your phone bill, your internet plan. Oh, don't even get me started on childcare. You know, one other thing that people are forgetting is that this guy who says that he earns 120K will probably not be eligible for some benefits. Benefits such as the subsidized childcare, you know. So, which means he's going to be spending between 1K to 2K per child per month on for childcare. Let's talk about insurance, health insurance, dental. Because someone earning 120K will not qualify for any subsidies, you know. So these are the things. These are the issues. These are the issues. So, but for me, I think instead of criticizing that person, I think the better approach is to try and understand what the issue is and where they are coming from, you know, and see how they can adjust. I think I saw in the thread somewhere where that person who posted that twist admitted that they were not investing well in 2025 and they've made adjustments. You know, I'm still going to talk about that, right? But basically, why would anyone earning 120K feel tight. Yeah, it depends on their family size. Do they have a supporting spouse? Are they supporting a spouse? Are they supporting kids? Do they have elderly parents? Car payments. You don't know. Maybe they have two cars, one for them and one for their wife. Debt loan. They might have student loans, credit cards, line of credit. Because you don't have these things, does not mean people who have it are abnormal. I see a lot of judgments online. For example, the most recent trend of judgments that I see online is where people make jest of of some people who bought their houses in during COVID or after COVID, and they're like, "Oh well, you're holding the bag. They're going to lose money because the value of houses have dropped." And so, why are you happy about that? I don't get it. Because you had a choice of not buying a house during the time when prices went high, does not mean everyone who bought a house at that time were wrong. People are in different life stages, right? And they make decisions based on their personal life stage. So, except if they are coming to you to ask you for money, except if you're the one helping them to sustain their so-called lifestyle. I don't think you have any reason to make jest of them. You know, it just doesn't make sense to me. So there are so many reasons why 120K can feel tight right now. The location also. You don't know. They're probably if they're living in Toronto or Vancouver, or even some places up north in Nunavut or in Yukon, 120K may not actually go so far, you know. Aside that, you don't know the kind of lifestyle they're living. They're probably going on two vacations per year. So yeah, I think I spoke about this already. How much does it come down to? Um, if you earn 120K gross, after taxes, you get around 7K. I don't think this 7K is correct. You probably get like 6.5. And considering other deductions like RSP and the likes, you might not actually get up to 6.5 every month. And mortgage of 4K, groceries, transportation, utilities. What do you have left? Maybe 1K, 1.5. Now let's add childcare to this. You know, let's add black tax to this. There's nothing left. There's nothing left, you see. So that is why people are finding it difficult right now. However, we've talked about all the bad stuff. What do you think people can do? I saw a lot of suggestions that really made sense on that thread, and I'm going to share some of it with us. I'm going to share some of those tips with you. What can you do? I'd like to share practical strategies for new immigrants to thrive and not just survive in Canada. The first thing is if you're earning 120K and you're hardly getting by, the first thing to do, the first thing you can do is to cut costs. Because at the end of the day, the difference between people who are wealthy and people who are struggling is how much they have left every month after they've made all their expenses. That's the difference. It is what you have left, not even how much you earn. So if you earn 100K and you're spending 110K, which means at the end of the month or at the end of the year, you're at negative. You're not building wealth. You're definitely going to be struggling and you'll be carrying debts, maybe credit card debts or line of credit, right? So, how do you solve this? How to solve it is to cut costs, you know. I've shared these tips before on my channel. I have a few videos about it. Review what you're paying, review your subscriptions, cancel what you don't use, meal plan, cook at home, you know, look for discounts, shop sales, use your cashback apps. Like, don't buy anything if you won't get cashback. You know, consider renting out a room or getting a roommate. You know, if you have high interest debts, refinance them. Insurance policies, bundle them. Get your car loan and home loan from the same provider. You know, get life insurance from the same provider, or get them to give you some discount. You know, carpool when possible, or take the transit. I find myself taking the transit a lot these days. You know, which is okay. You have to be. Another thing, at the point when you start earning a lot in Canada, you need to be strategic. A lot of us used to think that tax planning, you know, we used to think tax planning is only for rich people. Like, I don't have money now. What am I doing? Why am I managing my taxes? Or why am I planning taxes? Or financial planning, we think it's for very rich people or wealthy people. So you're waiting till you have maybe 500K or 1 million before you start planning your life. Don't do that. We need to start planning immediately you come to Canada. You must start, developing a strategy. And by strategy, I mean, what are the things that I will do? What are the type of accounts that I will open? What are the kind of investments that I will do so as to make sure that I have more money in my pocket? So as to make sure that I am not leaving money on the table. So as to make sure that my taxable income is as low as possible. These are things that wealthy people do. They do it routinely, you know, because they don't want to pay too much tax. You shouldn't be paying one extra dollar more than you should be paying in taxes, you know. So, what are the strategies? Maximize your registered investment accounts. I've spoken about this before on my channel. Your retirement savings account, your TFSA, your RESP, your FHSA if you're a first time home buyer. You know, make sure you make use of all these options, right? Also, automate your savings. Make sure you have savings, emergency fund. Make sure you have all of that. You know, you must have a strategy. Speak to a financial advisor and come up with a plan, with a strategy. That's the only way to get ahead. Let's move on. Don't say you because you don't want you think you are struggling because of that. Now you want to kill yourself. You want to, and by that I mean you're overworking yourself. You're doing too much. Because you're penny pinching does not mean you shouldn't take a break from work. Does not mean you shouldn't explore Canada. 'Cause there's so much to do. Canada has so much to offer. You have to try and enjoy yourself. Take advantage of community centers. There are budget experiences. You don't have to travel to Europe, right? There's a joke that you can actually go to Europe and experience and kind of go to all the cities of Europe within Ontario. There's Paris, Ontario. There's London, Ontario. you know, there's those tiny cities within Ontario. I'm sure there are such options across the country, where you can actually uh go to and you know have fun. So you still have to enjoy your life as an immigrant. Because things are hard does not mean you should now make it harder for yourself, right? And mingle with people, you know, do go on budget experiences, right? Not don't go and spend too much money, you know. Travel during off season, you know. Remember why you came to Canada. So you have to keep a balance. There's a joke that we left home to feed home. Yeah, left home to feed home. But you have to still take care of yourself, you know. Bottom line, Canada is expensive. And yes, if you're earning 120K, things can be tight. However, if you make smart choices, if you are strategic about it, by the time you're earning 120K, you're actually doing better than more than 90% of people in Canada. In case you don't know, some families live on less than that. So if you are, as an individual, maybe a single person, you earn that much, you need to take advantage and make good use of it. Make good use of that money. Plan well, invest, and take it easy. At the end of the day, like I used to say, everybody just has to, cut their um you have to cut your 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 clothes according to your material. Don't do more than yourself. Like I said earlier, what makes a difference between wealthy people and struggling people is how much they have left at the end of the month. So make a choice. You want to be wealthy or you want to be struggling. Thank you for watching.